Hey guys, Tyler here with Waterfront Outdoors, and today we are going to be talking about the night before Fishmas. Yeah, so I am not going to be at my family Christmas, so I am going to go fishing all day Christmas. It's going to be a two-part fishing trip. Morning I'm going to be targeting trout, and then as we get into the evening and the night I will be targeting walleye. So this video is going to be dedicated to showing you guys what I bring when I go fishing. Most of this stuff you will see in the video tomorrow. Alright guys, so the first step in the morning when you get up is, and probably should be, getting dressed. So that's where I'm going to start this video. I'm going to start with what I wear when I'm going fishing. So the first thing I put on is this Under Armour compression sleeve shirt. It is the best, warmest base layer shirt I have found so far. So after I put that on, I have pajama pants. Now, pajama pants are great because, one, if you have to go to the bathroom, they're easy to take off. You don't have to worry about something too tight or anything like that. They got pockets, so if you want to keep your phone warm, you can keep them in this pocket. And then after I put that on, the next thing I put on is a pair of regular socks. So these are low-cut socks, and I just put these on and wrap my pant leg around them. I wrap my pant leg inside of them. So the next thing is a t-shirt of some kind. This is nice for keeping that chest warmth stuck onto you. After that, I put on the jeans. So these are my work fishing jeans. They're stained from like fish blood and working on roofs and stuff, and so that's a big thing. And if you don't want to put jeans on quite yet, if it's like colder, I put on sweatpants like so, and everything that I'm wearing is going to be tucked underneath those jeans. Those jeans are going to hold the t-shirt, the compression shirt, just going to keep it tucked in. Okay, so next I put on these socks right here. They're my wader socks. I got them for Christmas one year from my godfather, and they go up to my knee. They're huge. They're very, very large socks, and they're wool socks, so they keep you warm even if they're wet. Next thing I put on is typically a little bit heavier long sleeve. This is nice for, just keeping your warmth. If you get in the shack, you can strip down to this layer, and you'll be comfortable. Like this has almost like a fleece inside. It's a little bit fuzzy. It's real comfortable. I like it. And then the next thing that I usually put on is a sweatshirt of some kind. A hoodie, typically, because that hood will help cut out the wind if you're in a windy area. And generally, sweatshirts are pretty warm. Hoodies like that. Next is my bibs. Now these bibs I just got this year, and they're wonderful. They're very warm, but these are inversibles. So instead of looking like a wing nut with the blaze orange, I'm going to invert it to the winter camo. It'll look a little bit better out on the ice. And then lastly, I have my Carhartt coat. It's a heavy-duty coat. That's what we want for those cold winter days. This is what I'm going to wear if I'm jigging outside of a shelter or something like that. And then other than that, what I usually wear is, I actually just got this from my Aunt Karen, but I used to have one just like this, is a stocking cap and a pair of gloves. Now generally speaking, I usually have a change and a pair of gloves, because gloves get wet fast. You'll sweat, they'll get wet, they won't be warm anymore. But as far as that goes, we're going to move on to what else to bring with. Now, whenever you're doing anything that involves cold weather and water, you should always bring an extra pair of clothes. Now, a lot of people think, oh, this is dumb, why should I bring... Listen, everybody falls in the muck, everybody slips, anything can happen at any point in time. So that's why when I go, once again, the second pair of gloves I was talking about, a pair of pants, a change of pants, along with a fresh pair of socks, fresh pair of underwears. I have a sweatshirt, a long sleeve shirt, and a spare coat. Now that might seem drastic, but if you fall in through the ice, you are going to need that. You will freeze. Like, I guess the only way that you could truly understand is if you get wet and you sit out in the cold for a while, because hypothermia is a real thing and nobody wants to have to deal with that. So next up, I'm going to talk about safety stuff. Alright guys, so the number one thing that you should have, especially if you're early ice fishing, is a pair of ice picks. You fall through, you can't grab on that ice. Especially if it gets wet, it's going to be slick and you're not going to be able to get back up. These are ones that are meant to wrap around your neck, and you take the picks, close them like that, and you just throw it on your neck, and then you have it on you in case anything happens. Number two should be some kind of light source. In case you're out longer than you expected, you need snowmobilers, just people that are moving fast or anything that is operated need to see you, otherwise you could get hurt. Another thing, along with getting wet or being cold, these are great to have. They can help save your hands, literally. When you get cold, generally that means that you're having poor circulation to your hands or your feet, and these can help with that. So that's important. Now, I just got these for Christmas, and I could see how these could be really useful. Walkie-talkies. Okay, so as far as ice fishing goes, yeah, it might not be the most important thing. It could save you a lot of walking, like if a buddy's walking to the truck, he left his phone at the shack, the walkie-talkie should be clipped to him somewhere, and you'd be like, hey dude, don't forget to grab the gas tank out of the truck for the auger, or something like that. It'll save you some time, some walking. Now, along with safety stuff, you'll want to have something like some kind of rations, I guess you could say, because you never know how long you would be out in the wild if something bad happens. Let's say your car breaks down. This is how many calories? There is 15 servings per container, and there is 200 calories. As you can see right there. That's important stuff, and they're fat calories too. Fats are mainly what your body derives energy from. And then this is a portable charger. I charge this in my car. First of all, I never leave without this being charged all the way. But it's easy where I could charge it in the car if I need to. It has two charging ports. I can charge my phone, my walkie-talkies, anything, and I'll be okay. You never know, your phone might die and you might need to contact somebody to get you out of there. This could be your ticket out. Now, along with safety equipment, and something that I forgot to mention before, was boots. Rubber boots work best in the snow because, one, they're waterproof, and if you go into a shack and that snow starts to melt, it gets wet. So if you have regular fabric boots, your feet are going to get wet, and it's not going to be comfortable, and then you'll get cold, and you'll want to go home. Now, that if you're trying to catch fish, you're not going to catch them staying home. If you're trying to shoot ducks, you're not going to shoot them staying home. So as far as that goes, that's important. Now, other equipment that you'll need. Now, if you're into pike fishing, walleye fishing, muskie fishing through the ice, this is a great tool to have. Actually, in open water too, it's a jaw spreader. You take it and you can open up the jaw. You can hold the fish from here if need be, or you can keep that jaw open so that you can get whatever's lodged in their throat out, like a treble hook from your tip up, etc. Now, along with pulling stuff out, you'll want one of these forceps. This is typically the one that I use for trout and panfish. I got a slightly larger one for, northern walleye, bass, you name it. But you can get away with this. And another thing that's important to have, that's a little wet, don't know why. But anyways, is backup line. This is cheap line. I could use it to tie a leader on my tip-ups. It's only 4-pound test and it's 100 yards, but it's better than no line. So let's say that you have a leader on your fishing pole that has ice braid. You get into a tangle with a fish, and it snaps off at your knot that combines the braid to the mono or the fluorocarbon. Here's your backup. Along with equipment, we have ice skimmers. Ice skimmers are pretty important in the ice fishing world. A lot of people don't really care. They'll use your hands, but then your hands get cold, and then you're in your now you're in a different situation where, you know, you would need the hand warmers. You don't want to be miserable. You're out there to have fun, so have fun, be safe, and do things the way that they should be done. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about is tackle. Now, I recently was on a trout fishing trip where we were catching brookies. I was catching them on these two colors, and I lost both of them. So these are Swedish pimples, and I like them. I think they're nice. They're heavier. They work well. And then we go to the tackle box. Now, these are some slip bobbers I bought at Walmart for like 38 cents or something like that. And they come with this, and you can buy replacements for 38 cents as well. And what it is that it's a little light up. It glows like a glow stick, and that'll help you at night. So, and then up here we got my search baits, jig and wrap and a rip and wrap. Two very, very nice things to have. They help you find where the fish are. This can call in fish because it's got a rattle in it. Next up is the 3-foot tape measure. If you catch a fish over 3 feet, I sure hope that you're keeping it, unless it's a sturgeon or something that you really shouldn't keep. But this will be able to tell you if your fish are legal or if they're worth keeping. Even tell you if it's the biggest fish that you've ever caught. Fingernail clippers. Cutting line. Very simple. If you have a slip bobber, you get these after you cut them, and you can't reel that in on there, so you gotta nip them off. Backup treble hooks for tip-ups. Markers. These rings right here. This is for putting a reel on a cork fishing rod. Like they're. Well, I just dropped that. Lovely. But anyways. That's so that if you want to change your reel, you can change it. I usually go with small sinkers for the most part. This is good for 1, setting your tip-ups. 2, just using them to keep your bait down, etc. Again, bag of sinkers. My personal favorite ice fishing lure right here. Not that. That's another Swedish pimple. But this bronze right here, if I can get to it. Holy cripes. Okay, so a bronze and red or a bronze and green slender spoon. They're great spoons. I love them. I'd use them every day of the week. They are great. More spare slip bobber. Depth finders is very important. You never know how deep something is if it's like stained, and you just need to find out. I got a light one. This one I usually clip on here, and I have this heavier one just in case a buddy comes along, and it helps keep my tackle box sitting upright. This is another like large jig, search jig. Here's a floating jig head in case I want to have a floating presentation, something that's on the bottom and just a couple inches up. That's what I use this for. And up next, I'm going to grab the fishing poles and tip-ups. Okay, so first here I have is my tip-ups. So I have 2 Glacier Bay tip-ups, thanks to my buddy Joe with Bite Me Box tip-ups. He got a couple Bite Me's, and he's like, man, now that I have these Bite Me box tip-ups. These typical normal tip-ups are almost inferior to him. It's a lot easier for him to use his Bite Me's. And I have this one Polar. I actually got this Christmas Day when I was 8 or 9. But I have these 3 tip-ups set up differently. So this one you can see, super tiny treble hook. This I use for perch, trout, anything I'm going to try catching with a crappie minnow. I don't have any weight on it until you get to the swivel. And because it's lightweight, and I don't want much like strain on the line when the fish is pulling it, I picked to use a sinker as my marker so I know where to set the depth. And one, if a fish starts pulling on it, they're not going to feel the tension of the bobber being pulled down. This one, same thing. Doesn't have a hook on it. Doesn't have a weight on it. Past the swivel. Larger swivel, don't need it. Now this is a slightly larger one. I would put a crappie minnow on here if I wanted to, if I'm fishing for larger trout, or a fat head for walleye. And I know that walleye have teeth, but I prefer using a mono line. That Joe taught me that, and it seems to be working a lot better. I get a lot more bites using the mono that I do with a steel leader. And then this sort of comes like this. You can buy these little leaders. It's just a red treble hook with a little blade on here, and this is generally what I use for pike. I would set this for a walleye, and I would be okay with that. But this one, I have a sinker on the leader, and then I have the swivel. Now this one I would set a bobber on to where I'd mark the depth, because on this thicker braid and on this heavier line, like for a bigger fish, they're not going to notice that as much as a tiny little brookie would. So next is going to be fishing poles. I got them right here, and this is usually my dead sticking rod. This is an ugly stick with some random reel I probably had since I was a little kid. And right here I have a slip bobber, 2 sinkers, and a hook. Just a regular number 10 bait hook. And I would put a crappie minnow or a fat head or a shiner, whatever I'm fishing with, on here. Okay, and then next I have my super sensitive pan fishing rod, which I just bought actually this year. I'm in love with it. It's Microtech, it's called. I don't really know what the brand is. You guys can look at it. It's upside down like that, but it's a nice rod. I like it. It comes with a slip bobber, a little slot for you to put the slip bobber in. And on here I usually fish real small jigs. This one has a blade on it. Thought that was pretty cool, but this is something that I'd be fishing with just wax worms. And now this next one is a Frable circle reel. I don't know what you would call this, but it's a lot heavier. It says that it's a light, but it has a lot more backbone than most rods, and it's a little bit longer. It is 36 inch, and I like this. There is no bail on it, so you have to pull the line out by drag, so you're constantly messing with the drag. But this is what I would put my search bait on. And then on for line, on the panfish rod, I got 3-pound fluorocarbon. I have 6-pound fluorocarbon going to a braid backing. And then on here, I think it's 4-pound mono on my dead stick. And then next, when it comes to fishing, is especially ice fishing, you need pretty much live bait, but for pike you can get away with dead bait, and that's what you're going to see here. Right here I have 2 dead shiners. If you go to a bait store, you just gotta say, do you guys charge for the dead bait? And generally they'll say no, and they'll give it to you for free. And I've caught, me and my buddy Kyle, we went to where I caught that rainbow trout, and we caught a 38 1/4 inch northern on a dead shiner. tip up 3 dozen wax worms. This is for panfish, trout, you name it. Now a minnow net, 99 cents at the bait shop. And then in here, I should put them in that foam bucket. But right here I have my minnows. Now you can see that this sucker isn't doing that well. He's probably going to go in with those shiners that I have. But that's a walleye sucker, another walleye sucker. I have half a dozen. Okay, so I have 3 suckers because the lady noticed that this guy was dying. I was only charged for 2. I have a dozen crappie minnows, half a dozen rosies, and then a half a dozen shiners. So this is what the bulk of my bait that I'm going to be using tomorrow. And so that will conclude my video for today. Yeah, it's a really long one. Yeah, I know. If you like the talking, comment, say, hey, it's not that bad. Or 2, you can be like, yeah, no thanks, we want to see more action. And I'll do my best. When I fish by myself, I can't get a lot of the action on film because, well, I don't have a tripod anymore. It broke. And we're going to see what we can do. Hopefully this season we can get more fish on film, have a couple buddies come out, and have a good time. So this is me signing out. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Waterfront Outdoors will be here tomorrow.